It's networking that's going to get you where you want to be, knowing people,
Yeah.
knowing the right people, and
Yeah.
actually making use of those channels. Because a lot of the times we know people, and we are afraid to reach out to people, we're afraid to
Right?
ask. Being a resource to someone else,
Yeah.
you can't just take from some people.
Yeah.
You need to be a resource for someone else. You need to give back to other people, and people see that.
Yeah.
And there's value in that, but I didn't realize the value of the connections that I had, of the network that I
Yes.
was building. And I
Yes.
think tapping into that is something that became valuable for me. You kind of always have to put your best foot forward,
Yeah.
whether it's on your social media, whether it's on whatever you put out there into the world. That's your brand.
Hey guys, welcome back to yet another episode of Get Corporate Radiant. Today, we once again doing our podcast Suits and Stories. So I'm super excited, guys, today to be chatting to Jason George. This guy, when I first saw his application many moons ago, right? I remember I was sitting there. I was sitting there in my bed and it was like 11 p.m., right? And there I am going through CVs, applications, and I came across Jason's application and I was like, what? No, can't be true. Can't be true. Jason, guys, at the time was just, for me, I think he was in second year, right? I only had your first year results, but like super overachiever, UCT, was involved in a lot of different things. And you guys know that I speak about that a lot, right? Around extracurricular activities, make sure that you're getting involved, make sure you're getting good grades. So he's always kind of been that highlight person, because I think it happened at a time where I was just chilling, 11 p.m., it's dark, and I just got excited, like immediately, and I immediately messaged him, right? So that's who we're speaking to today. Phenomenal guy, and I'm super excited to have you on board today, Jason. So welcome.
Abhishek, thanks so much, man. Thanks so much for having me. Every time I hear that story, you tell the story out, it's just humbling again from the beginning. But yeah, it was fun times back then, interesting times, and this is how far we've come.
This is how far we've come. This is how far we've come.
Yeah.
So, Jace, I think maybe just to give like the audience a little bit of an anecdote of who Jason is, just a little bit of your upbringing, why you studied
Yeah.
what you studied, and what you're currently doing.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I mean, I'm Jason George. I come from a place on the Cape Flats called Mitchell's Plain. Born and bred in Mitchell's Plain, in Tafels of Mitchell's Plain. Now, I mean, when you mention that, a lot of people kind of really think about, what goes on in Mitchell's Plain with the
Yeah.
gangsterism and all of those, what it's notorious for. But I mean, there are a lot of good things that come, from Mitchell's Plain, good people that come from Mitchell's Plain, and so that's where I grew up, and it's always been my childhood dream to become a lawyer because of a family incident that occurred when I was younger, involving my parents. So never wanted to be a corporate lawyer at that. I wanted to be a criminal lawyer because of that
Yes.
experience.
Yeah.
My family had an encounter with the law, and I was curious from then. And but obviously growing up in Mitchell's Plain, you didn't have all of the resources or the correct guidance to kind of pivot you in the right direction. And so I had people that kind of looked out for me in Mitchell's Plain, and we can maybe chat about that, if time allows. But yeah, so that's where I'm from, Mitchell's Plain. Grew up there. It's been a childhood dream to become a lawyer, and then after matric, got my some matric results time again. So around about this time back then, I was very
Yeah.
excited. Got my straight A's, my 8 distinctions. It was something big for
See
my
what I
family,
mean?
for the community. Because you read about these people every year that are getting these 9, 8, 9, 7 A's, and you're like, yo,
Yeah.
so that, yeah. So then it happened to me, and I'm like, okay, cool.
It's
So
possible.
yeah. So like this is actually possible for someone like
Yeah.
me, being where I'm
Yeah.
from, and hard work paid off. Got in at UCT, studied law there, completed the LLB. You then recruited me in my second year to Bowman's.
Yeah.
Also a very very exciting time. Landing
Yeah.
a job in big law, big corporate law
Yeah.
in Africa, in South Africa. It's a very very exciting time. And so that's kind of how that dream, over the years was built, and different people contributed towards it, and to where I am now, still practicing at Bowman's, as an associate. So yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, something I love about just your story is that you were driven. It sounds like you were someone that was quite driven already from the time you were in high school, right? You heard about people that were getting straight A's, that were getting distinctions, and you're like, yo, is that even possible for me, right? What is that one thing that you feel was a driving force for you? Like, what motivated you to want to even get the straight A's in matric?
Yeah, I think it's always been family and circumstances, where I was from. I wanted to be better. I wanted better for myself, better for my family, and also, just for my immediate family that I've started now as well. So like my kids and when I start a family, I didn't want my children to kind of go through, what I went through. I mean, both of my parents
Mm,
were unemployed. We were living hand to mouth,
mm,
and both of them were alcoholics at the time.
mm,
And so I wanted better for my family. My siblings, most of them had stable jobs, but not the kind of stuff that I wanted to do. And
yeah.
so I had to get outside influence or outside guidance or mentorship from someone in the community that took me under their wing. And so and guided me to where I had this dream, but I kind of had no one that I could be like, look, this is what I want to do, can you get me there?
Yes.
No one in the family that could do that for me, and so I had to look beyond that. But the goal was always to just be better and want better for myself, for my family,
Mm,
and so that's the thing that drove me.
that drove you.
But then there are other, I'm also a spiritual person, so God
Mm,
played a big role in all of it for me. I had to stay prayerful, had to stay on my knees throughout this journey. And so those are the things that kept me, so to speak, through this journey,
yeah.
um until now.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. And one of the things that I just really want to drive home for those of you that are listening is the idea around not playing victim, right, to your
Mm.
circumstance. So it doesn't matter your background, doesn't matter the resources that you had or did not have. It's about knowing who you are,
Yeah.
knowing what you want for yourself, and just being resourceful. Like, find ways to find someone who can
Yeah.
guide you in the right direction, right? Find ways to ensure that the things that I have control over, I'm going to do my best at that and hope that that's what's going to help me succeed, right? So
Yeah.
if there's one thing that I think people just need to learn from just your journey and your story thus far, is having a
Yeah.
bigger kind of, dream for yourself,
Yeah.
irrespective of your background, your upbringing, any of those kinds of things. Yeah.
Yeah, agree 100%. Yeah. I mean, like someone always used to tell me, like, if someone grows up, on a farm, their goal is kind of to drive a tractor, They don't
Yeah.
they don't
Yeah.
they don't they don't have the ambition of wanting to drive a Ferrari, but you have to take them
Yes.
out of the farm, to go and see, what's out there. But you have to want to get out of there,
That's
I
it.
had to, and I mean, you're right. I could have easily, there are countless opportunities where I grew up. I have gangsterism on my doorstep, drug abuse on my doorstep,
Yeah.
all of these social issues lurking right there. I could have easily, taken that route as well. It was
Mm,
available to me.
mm,
But like you say, you have to want better, at that stage,
yeah.
and it's easy to blame circumstances. It's very easy.
Very true.
But yeah,
Very true.
I'll suppose that I'll leave it at that.
Okay. I love that, Jason. And I think just off the back of that, right? When you look back now, and now that you've kind of defied the odds, right? You worked really hard to get good grades at matric. You went into university. You did really well at UCT as well. You landed yourself big corporate exposure and experience. What is that one piece of advice you wish someone had told you before you embarked on this journey of wanting to become a lawyer?
I mean, there are many lessons that I've learned, sort of, now that I wish I knew then. You shouldn't be afraid to get to know people and to network with people.
Yeah.
And I wish, that someone kind of, told me that sooner, that it's networking that's going to get you where you want to be, knowing people,
Yeah.
knowing the right people, and
Yeah.
actually making use of those channels. Because a lot of the times we know people, and we are afraid to reach out to people. We're afraid to
Right?
ask.
Exactly.
Even
Exactly.
if it's on LinkedIn, if someone accepts a connection, there's a reason that person could have rejected you. That
Yes.
person could have said, nah.
Yes.
And it's about knowing and tapping into those resources, not being afraid, because there are other people that I look at sometimes, some of my colleagues and some of my peers, and I'm like, this person they're so fearless, they're so brave, just to
Mm.
ask a question and or ask someone something. And I think that's
Mm.
something that I realized that has value is actually tapping into your resources that you have, but also being a resource to someone else.
Yeah.
You can't just take from some people. You need to
Yeah.
be a resource for someone else. You need to give back to other people, and people see that.
Yeah.
And there's value in that. But I certainly think that the networking part aspect was something that I wish I started, like I knew, but I think it was there because I sort of built that, my LinkedIn platform and other platforms from a very young age.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize the value of the connections that I had, of the network that
Yes.
I'm building. And I
Yes.
think tapping into that is something that became valuable for me. Um, but yeah, there are many other things, like the corporate world is it's big, it's vast, but it's a small world. People
It's a
know
small
people.
world. Yes.
People
Yeah.
talk about other people, so you kind of always have to put your best foot forward.
Yeah.
Whether it's on your social media, whether it's on whatever you put out there into the world, that's your brand.
Mm.
That's
Mm.
what you have to value, and
Mm.
I think those are also important things to take note of.
I love that,
But yeah.
Jason. I love what you mentioned because I think relationship building can be underestimated, right?
Hmm.
And a lot of people will maybe just want to stick to people they know, people they're comfortable talking
Yes.
to. But in order to progress in your career, you need to be known and liked by people. And you need to, in order to know people, you need to get out there. You need to put yourself
Yeah.
out there, right?
Yourself out
And
there.
another thing
Yeah.
you touched on, which is so pivotal in this day and age, is just LinkedIn is your digital CV, guys. Like I keep telling you that how you present yourself online is as important as who you are in person, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, you may not be in the same proximity as them, but you can build a relationship with them just through using online platforms such as LinkedIn. I've done that for myself, right? Even as recent as maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, where I looked up someone, I loved what they did, I loved their career journey, I aspired to be something similar to what they were doing, and I reached out to them, on LinkedIn, and I don't know them, never met them, never heard of them, but I was intrigued by something. And lo and behold, they were happy to have a conversation. We've had probably like 3 or 4 mentorship conversations online. And that's how you build relationships, right? You have to go out of your comfort zone and you need to put yourself out there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. One thing that happened to me, to share like an anecdote from my side is so I'm in banking and finance, right? And
Yeah.
it's a cross border, it's easily transferable skill, that if you acquired, enough experience,
Yeah.
and so I'm working with the head of our practice area. I'm working on a new deal, and she's like, I need to reach out to this local council somewhere in Guernsey, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. I draft this email as though I don't know this person. I'm just like,
Yeah.
hey, so and so, like, we have this new instruction. Would you like to,
Yeah.
we would appreciate if you guys can assist from a local law perspective. And the person replied, and I was like, Jason, I actually know you from LinkedIn. And we are connections. Look, I was a bit embarrassed. I went to my LinkedIn just to make sure, and I was
Just
like,
to
lo and
check.
behold, yeah, this person, and that's a very senior person. This is like managing partner at another firm.
Amazing.
And the lesson I learned there again is you need to also be aware of who you have, in those connections, because sometimes you can easily also just get into the accept and let everyone in and accept, and you don't really
Agreed.
realize the value of who you're
Who
associating
you
yourself with.
have.
And again,
Yes.
I realized, like, this could have easily gone a different direction if this guy maybe saw something that I wasn't too savory from my end, or that it could have gone either way.
Mm.
But
Mm.
it was interesting at the time, because it was so much easier then for me to work with this firm, to work with this person, because
Yes.
we already had this established, kind of virtual relationship with one another that they appreciated initially, and then I also started appreciating, and it was so easy to then thereafter. Now we are in each other's business. we know what's going on in each other's lives, and and it all started from there. So
Yeah.
I thought I'd share that.
The power of online. The power of online. And
Yeah,
I love that you
yeah,
shared that, right? Because I think that is a classic example of having connections online, and how much easier that made this initial first connection with you, right? Because you
yeah,
don't know this person from a bar of soap, you trying to establish a relationship, but for them to open it up by saying, hey, I actually do know you, we've got a connection, just almost makes it that much easier for you guys to start a conversation, to
yeah,
start working together, whatever it is, right? So guys, a
yeah,
takeaway here, building relationships, absolutely key for your career, whether it is for your own personal mentorship, needs, or business perspective, right? And you working and you in corporate, absolutely critical. Now, I want to take a little bit of a short left, ne? And just take a break from workplace, and ask you a very serious question, Jason. So,
yeah, yeah.
if you were to describe yourself as a fruit, like, what would that fruit be and why?
I'd probably say like a pineapple.
A pineapple. It's so strange. As I asked you the question, I had a pineapple in my head, and I was just like, let's hear what he says. I don't know why I chose that in my head.
I think it's more like it can be sour, can be sweet,
Yeah.
can be depending on the occasion, can add that tropical, the life of the party type of
Yeah.
vibe. Okay, not
Yeah.
life of the party, so to speak, but more like I think you'll know if there's pineapple in any dish, you'll know it's there.
Yeah.
You'll taste it, you'll experience it.
Yeah.
Pineapple, does go on pizza.
Yeah.
For those of us who are still debating it, prickly on the outside, it might appear to some people. I've been
Yeah.
described as intimidating by a lot of people.
Yeah.
But then once you open it up, there's a sweetness, a juiciness inside. I think
There we
maybe if
go.
we go in that direction,
I love it.
I think that's how I see myself. Maybe I like when I appear to people, I tend to appear like I'm in business, like I'm serious about everything. I wanna, I'm a
Yes.
go-getter. I'm out there, but once I think what the feedback that I've received from people is once they get to know me, that's more of like I didn't realize you were this kind of person. A lot of the
Yeah.
new CAs now, although some of them I kind of meet while we're doing recruitment, but then when they come in, like, yo, we thought you were so serious because they've heard about me or something from or they've watched my LinkedIn or they've seen the stuff on there and they thought I was this intimidating being, and I was like,
Yeah.
guys, it's just me, I'm just an ordinary
Just
person.
me. I love that. I love your response, and it's so strange that's the picture and fruit I had in my mind when I asked you that question. So I didn't even know like what you would come up with, but very interesting that you came up with that. So anyway, let's get back to business, right? So
And but now we must know your fruit. No, now I want to
no,
know.
no.
That's
Why are
fine.
you turning it around on me?
Now you're asking the questions.
I'm asking questions today. No, someone once asked me that question and I was just dumbfounded, right? And it was like the first question as you start the podcast. And I was like, I think I ended up saying like a strawberry, right? And I was like, yeah, strawberry, like, on the outside, it looks prickly and, but like, sometimes they are sweet, sometimes they are sour, like something similar to what you said around a pineapple. But for some reason, I was like, yeah, a strawberry is the fruit of choice to describe myself. So anyway, I think just two more things before we wrap up, Jason, that I think are important for us to chat about. And I just want to get your take on them, right? So the first place is just around workplace dynamics. I think it's so important that we are able to share what it takes, right, to become an associate in a top law firm, what it takes to become a senior manager in a corporate, in whatever department you're in, right? So just thinking about the workplace and your experience of the workplace just in general, if there was one thing that you would change around the workplace or the dynamics in a workplace, what do you think that would be?
I think it's very important that we realize that everyone starts somewhere.
Yeah.
No one walks in here and they know everything that they used to know about the law.
Mm.
And I know it's a very intimidating environment to enter into, and you feel like you must prove yourself from the get-go, and you feel like
Mm.
you must know it all, and that can come back to bite you, when you come into
Mm.
an environment like a top law firm. We kind of
Mm.
expect our juniors coming in that, they have a solid base in terms of the law that they've
Mm.
acquired at university, but a lot of the times it's like people want to prove themselves and they want to be acting like they know all the answers.
Yeah.
There's no one says no, no one says I don't know, no one says
Yes.
so, and the thing is just to pause and to take a step back, and to realize that, baby steps,
Mm.
and I think
Mm.
people need to realize that from, a more senior level, down as well, that
Mm.
not everyone, it's a training contract for a reason starting out,
Mm.
you're there to learn. And I think people need to be cognizant of that. The corporate culture is kind of the corporate culture, and I think it's largely driven by clients as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the clients expect from a firm like a Bowman's, and a lot of the times our mindset is geared towards that, towards delivering, our best for the
Mm.
client. That
Mm.
influences certain things internally, but I think for the most part, at a firm like Bowman's, we do realize that our people are important. We do try and create a culture that is as conducive to learning and to building up our people, as far as possible, and to be able to render that sort of premium service that we market to our clients.
To your clients. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but but thinking about all of that makes it very, like, airy fairy and corporate, and you have to be this, kind of like, you have to fit a certain mold, but I think you do need to realize, that everyone brings something to the table. You're gonna bring your own unique approach to the table if you come into the corporate environment. You need to find your niche, so to speak, and yeah, not everyone's gonna be the same. Not everyone contributes the same value,
Mm. Mm. Mm.
the space where they find themselves. But I think to answer your question, like I don't think there's anything like that, that I would think about, like what I want to change. I think there's just I think people must just be open to that change, and open to new things when they get into an environment like the corporate world,
Yeah.
and embrace that, not
Yeah.
shy away from, because it can be easy to do that as well, to be intimidated by it, or go into your shell and not want to explore. But I
Yeah.
think you should precisely take the opportunity to explore and to try and get to know new people, different people, interact with different people,
Yeah.
and find the value that you can add to all of that.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights, for sharing your story. I know that your story has inspired a lot of people, and I know that that's part of one thing that you love doing as well, right? So I really appreciate your time. I thank you for taking the time to share. And just in closing, what is your theme song that describes your career right now?
Theme song that describes my career thus far. There are many, but
Just
I'm
one,
probably gonna
Jason. One. No scenic
probably
routes,
gonna
just
get
one
this.
song.
Yeah, there's a few. Eminem is not my favorite, like, music artist, but he has a few lyrics that are, it's just like describes it,
Yeah.
like, you only have one shot. I'm not afraid.
Yes.
But I think I'll go with that. I'm not afraid.
Okay.
And it's taken a lot of courage to get to where I am.
Yeah.
And navigating different environments that were
Mm.
unknown,
Mm.
but walking paths that were unknown, lots of
Mm.
uncertainty, but you kind of have to take that step, that leap of faith sometimes. And I think that has been, maybe that's the theme song.
Okay.
Yeah, but there was another one, but you said one song, so
Hey, Kiptonians.
the other one was AKA,
Yeah.
yeah, he had the song, I think it was Champion lyrics here, you played it safe, I raised the bar, amazing grace, I praise the Lord, and those are things that kind of resonate with me as well.
Yeah.
uh
Yeah. Yeah.
that yeah, like, I mean, the journey is there, it's intimidating, it's tough, but at the end of the day we overcome.
Definitely.
We overcome, and that's how it be.
That's how it be. And guys, that's a wrap. That's a wrap with our conversation with Mr. Jason George. Thank you once again. I know a lot of you have, heard very inspiring anecdotes today. You've learned a lot from his journey. So if there's anything that you want to ask or contribute to, just pop it down in the comments below, guys. And I hope that you enjoyed this segment of Suits and Stories. We'll see you next time.